Hello and welcome to Investortoday.ca. I'm your host, Dave Glover. Investortoday.ca is brought to you in conjunction with RBL Communications, your online IR professionals. It is November 1st, 2012, and joining me today will be Graham Keevil. Graham Keevil, who is the president and CEO of Tajiri Resources Corp. Tajiri, which trades on the TSX under the symbol TAJ. Dateline October 31st, Tajiri samples up to 2.66 grams per ton gold in soil at their Kaburi property. They also closed second and final tranche of private placements. They are pleased to report that the assays have been received for the entire suite of auger-based geochemical soil samples taken during the company's Phase 1 exploration program on the 100% owned Kaburi property located in the Mazaruni district of the Republic of Guyana, South America. Graham Keevil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Dave.
So you just got back from Guyana.
I did. I was down there about 10 days doing groundwork. I was out actually at the property for about 4 days, poking around some of these pits and overseeing the next phase of work that will be starting immediately.
So that's great. So the financing has closed and the work will begin immediately.
That's correct. Financing was oversubscribed by about $54,000, so we did a total of $654,000, which is good. Tops up the coffers for what we want to get done over the next couple of weeks and months here. Being on the property was obviously a benefit to myself. I know exactly what we're dealing with now and can plan moving it forward accordingly.
Well, and it's so much easier having been down to the property. I mean, we know we talked to the listeners, rather have heard us talk about the fact that you're really close to azimuth down there, but having your boots on the ground there, can you give us an idea of what the perspective has that changed?
Yeah, and I think it really did put a lot of things into perspective. You know, every situation in this business is unique. You face unique challenges and, unique possibilities on the upside. And specifically at Kaburi, being there, I think we talked about the old artisanal mine workings that are present and are really the gauge of exploration in most of the country. Mm-hmm. People in our looking for the hard rock stuff like the Western interest will go in, look for these surface mining operations where they basically are processing alluvial gold in the surface soils as indications due to just the general geology of the area as something below in the bedrock of more substantial size. And that was always our intent going in there. Walking the pits, they do span for about 4.5 kilometers. In some cases, they're almost 20 meters deep. And you can actually see the quartz veins that were being targeted in some of the old pit faces. We took 202 channel samples while I was there of those pit faces. Assumably, since they were actually mining them, there should be some good gold content to them.
Absolutely.
But more immediately to do with the news that was out yesterday is the size of the anomaly that we identified in soils and the structural relationship that it has to the regional shear zone, the Aurora Gem Creek corridor, that is responsible for a lot of the gold in this area of Guyana.
Well, as you said, you had some alluvial miners down there on the property. Were they able to help you to identify additional targets?
Well, they did. They weren't supposed to be there, firstly, but, all in, they did uncover some previously unknown anomalies that we've now started to look at more closely. It's very interesting. As I mentioned, the quartz veining through the saprolite wall. So basically what you have is a pit with a really soft, muddy sal rock, but a hard quartz veins that are still cutting through it remain in their rock form, even though everything around them is weathered. So it's very unique like that. It's pretty cool to actually look at. And there is a lot of visible gold in there as well, which is obviously what these local guys were targeting. They can't, process the minute grams per ton material, so they're really in there for the bonanza-style stuff, which, they do make a good amount of money, I believe, mining.
Absolutely. Well, it's probably way too early to talk about resource calculations, but I guess that's something you're going to work towards with the work that you're about to begin, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the soil anomaly that we do have is basically right on top of the proposed trend cutting through of the Aurora Gem Creek corridor. So if you look at azimuth to our immediate east, there are 1.2 million ounce resources at the Smarkston Hicks are mirror images in the Omai Hicks Kaburi corridor, which is a parallel shear zone that cuts through right across from us. For the Aurora Gem Creek to be really responsible for what we believe are these soil highs is the ideal situation for Tajiri, and will form the basis for upcoming drilling over the next short while.
Now, I know rainy season has just ended down there. Does that basically give you the balance of this year to complete any work you need to get completed?
Yeah, we're going at it real aggressively. We actually just purchased what's called a Trotto, which is essentially a Brazilian-made power auger. It can get us about 10 meters down into the sap rock and give us a better idea of what the grade shell will look like at depth and where we want to put these RC holes when we do get in there to do that.
Obviously, the headline speaks for itself. I mean, 2.66 grams per ton gold is pretty significant in your samples. The drill now, that's the next phase?
That'll be the next phase. I just want to note that the exploration that we are undertaking is based on successful processes developed and employed by Azimuth right next to us to make their discoveries at Smarts and Hicks. So essentially the first step that they did was exactly what we did with these augers. The grade shell that we found is slightly higher than what they had at Smarts, so they were gauging between 50 and 200 parts per billion to be indicative of 400 meters proximity to the bedrock source of gold. Most of ours within the highs on the actual grid itself are even higher than that. We're talking 95,000 parts per billion in some cases. You know, there's a mean sample value of 33 grams per ton, which is also quite interesting over the entire area.
So I just want to recap for our listeners then. I'm talking to Graham Keevil, who is the president and CEO of Tajiri Resources Corp. Just to recap the headline from October 31st, Tajiri samples up to 2.66 grams per ton gold in the soil at Kaburi, and also closed the second and final tranche of your private placement. I want to wish you continued success. Any last words for our listeners, Graham?
Yeah, I guess if I could have put the headline any way I wanted, I would have said Tajiri is in the best case scenario for what we were trying to accomplish at the site. So having these soils as they are is absolutely perfect, and everything goes as planned. And we look forward to getting the drill in there over the next couple of weeks and months.
Again, Graham Keevil, Tajiri Resources, which trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol TAJ. You can also go to their website, or you can contact them at info@tajiricorp.com, but the website is www.tajiricorp.com. Listeners, I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm Dave Glover for Investortoday.ca. We'll see you next time.